Brokers. First, we'll cover compensation. Seller and buyer are saying that they've agreed to pay their agents pursuant to a separate written agreement outside of this agreement. Normally, that would be a listing agreement between the seller. The seller agrees to pay money to the listing agent, and then the listing agent offers frequently half, but a percent of what they're making out on the MLS, and the buyer is going to be paid pursuant to the agreement on the MLS, or you'll see at the final page or so, there's a paragraph that says listing agent agrees to pay buyer pursuant to the MLS, that number. So let's say that it's 6%. The seller agrees to pay the listing agent 6%. The listing agent then offers 2.5% or 3% or 3.5% to the buyer agent per the MLS. In this case, the sellers agreed to pay brokerage commissions. The buyer does not have to pay anything unless the buyer signed a separate brokerage agreement with the buyer's agent. And that perhaps they agreed to pay a flat fee to the buyer's agent and agree to let the rest of the commissions go to the seller. If a buyer is going to do that, they should, it can be pretty easily written. So if it's written in plain English, you may not want to pay an attorney to do that with you, but maybe you would. But the point is, in most cases, the buyer is not going to be asked to pay any commissions, and the commissions are all taken care of between the seller, the listing agent, who is the seller's agent, and then the buyer, your agent. If you're the buyer, your agent's going to be paid via an offer of compensation on the MLS and confirmed in writing towards the end of this contract. Now, with respect to scope of duty, I tried to summarize this, but I really didn't do it justice, so I'm just going to read it quickly. Buyer and seller acknowledge and agree the broker does not decide what price the buyer should pay or seller should accept, does not guarantee the condition of the property, does not guarantee performance adequacy or completeness of inspections, services, products, or repairs provided or made by seller or others. For instance, if you bring in third-party inspectors, does not have an obligation to conduct an inspection of common areas, shall not be responsible for identifying defects on the property in common areas off-site unless such defects are visibly observable by an inspection of reasonably accessible areas of the property or are known to the broker. And that's really the big deal. That's what this all comes down to. The broker or agent are not really responsible for anything that normally you might think they are responsible for, other than to be your agent and be truthful and act as a fiduciary for you. That's what this is doing. This contract is basically disclaiming so much liability. I'm not sure it will succeed, and the more egregious, like for those people who are reading this and for some reason they've come across it and they're wondering whether their agent or broker owed them a duty. Well, I would say the more egregious or the more serious the violation, the more likely your facts will overwhelm this paragraph. If your agent, while not responsible for fair market value or telling you to list the price, but if you can later show that your agent purposely left out a whole bunch of comps that would have had you price the house higher, and you could somehow prove that, so you kept their listing agreement, then you could go back and every expert would agree, every agent would have found those comps because they were next door or across the street, and they would have shown you your house is worth $150,000 more, and then that agent's client or friend bought the property, then you might have a case. But normally, if the agent's doing good work, trying to do their best at the time, you should speak to an attorney before you think that you're going to have a successful case against your agent. I'm sorry to get negative here, but that's basically when even I am sort of embarrassed by this as a broker. I mean, we're really disclaiming everything. And then in the end, shall not be responsible for providing other advice or information that exceeds the knowledge, education, and experience required to perform real estate licensed activity. And basically, if you read that, there's not a lot that an agent is licensed to do. And that's why the next sentence, buyer and seller agree to seek legal, tax, insurance, title, and other desired assistance from appropriate professionals. Now, good agents know that. Good agents know property knowledge, neighborhood knowledge, how to market and sell a property is the services they're offering. They're not offering skills in crafting contracts, changing words, advising you on how to read a preliminary title report. Although they all can, almost all of them are going to say, well, here's an issue here. You might want to talk to the escrow agent or an attorney about it. So, that's how it's done professionally. Agents do a lot of work, but they're not claiming to be title, tax, legal experts, and they're not claiming to be inspection experts, And they probably are pricing experts, or they should be, but they're giving you the information, and then with a consultation about the marketing activities, you're arriving at a price. And in this paperwork saying it's really all on the seller. The seller in the end has final decision on where to market that price. So that's 18. Let me know if you have any questions.